Hello. In this episode of Vocal Salt, I want to share my previous trip to Bumi Langit Institute in Yogyakarta. Now I live in Yogyakarta. It's a city in Indonesia, in Java Island. It's about 1 hour flight from Jakarta, the capital city. So, I mean, if you are visiting Indonesia and would love to visit Yogyakarta, feel free to contact me. Yeah, and I just had a visit to Bumi Langit Institute for our research on circular economy. So I think when I first back to Yogyakarta after my PhD, I have this sort of like motivation, intentions to do more research about Indonesia as well as about Yogyakarta, because previously as students in international relations, I do a lot more research about the country outside Indonesia. But after doing my PhD, I felt more urgent, I felt more connected to have more research on Indonesia. So one of my current research right now is on mainstreaming circular economy in Indonesia through community approach. And I think Yogyakarta is one of the city which have so many circular initiative in the community and grassroots level. Like for example, the Bumi Langit Institute that I want to discuss it with you. Well, it's my first time, actually, my first attempt, so I'm just gonna share what I observe on this institute. So why it's the name institute? It's not like a big formal office, but it's more like community place located in Imogiri Street. It's about half an hour from Jogja city, so you need to take car to go there. And I'm gonna share also the video of our visit there, even though when I did my visit it was like quite late in the afternoon, so it's a bit dark. I'm so sorry. So I've heard a lot about this institute before, Bumi Langit Institute, through recommendations from my college here at Universitas Gadjah Mada. They talk a lot how this institute was promoting a permaculture. It's more like human and nature relationships, so it's a lifestyle where they encourage human to be much more connected with the nature. And then, but I never had a chance to visit until yesterday, because I think first of all I feel like I feel like I've been so curious about it, but sometimes it's a matter about if we can make time to visit. And so during my visit, it was a visit with IGPA, Indonesia Green Principle Award. It is also a community where we want to mainstreaming circular economy as school curriculum in Indonesia. So the idea is we want to visit them and have more discussions about how can we mainstreaming circular economy. We met with the owner of Bumi Langit Institute. His name is Mr. Iskandar, and he was very knowledgeable about the nature, and he's been experienced and has been building this community since around 2008. So it's been almost 8 years. And then, what is this place? And that was my first question. And that is my questions to Mr. Iskandar as well, because there is also sort of like mini restaurant, and there's also a place for cottage, and then there is also a lot of plantations area, and quite interestingly they also have their own biogas for electricity. So the electricity are from solar panel and also from biogas. It's pretty interesting. So I was asking Mr. Iskandar, what is this place? And yeah, he told us that the idea of this place is to have more imagination or alternative imagination of what could our life would be without a lot of intervention from modernizations. So I think he was trying to embodying these alternative imaginations through his daily life. As you can see, there's a lot of plantations and I would say cattles, that he have in this area. And the other questions I was also asking is that who are this community? Are they like local communities or not? And then he told me that mostly he is actually Indonesians and US born, but he's born in Indonesia. He married with his wife from Bantul, also from Yogyakarta, and mostly they involve a lot of local farmers, because they also in the mini restaurant they sell local products, which are mostly cooperated and produced locally in that area. And also, quite interestingly, we also met a lot of volunteers in this place, and these volunteers not only came from Indonesia, other island Indonesia, but also came from other countries. Like the volunteer we met was from Czechoslovakia. So it's pretty interesting to imagine the community living in this Bumi Langit Institute. And in this area, they also have space for female volunteer and male volunteers who want to embodying this alternative image of living with the natures. And well, what is my impressions? I mean, during the interactions with the volunteers, as well as looking around the area, it feels like more nostalgic rather than sort of like imagining the future or futuristic idea, because I felt that this is part of my childhood. Like I met one volunteer who are doing, how do I say, like nginang. I'm gonna like share the video. So it's from specific plant, and the plant has antiseptic and with the color red mostly, and they're gonna like chew this plant, and it's part of way to clean their teeth, and also their mouth, and I found that quite nostalgic, because I see my great grandparent did that during my childhood. So I was lucky. I have lived some of my childhood also lived with my great grandparents, and then I found that this is something I know. This is something I'm familiar with, even though right now we don't do that anymore. It's quite interesting. I was like asking questions. When did I miss it? And I realized that the moment I lost this kind of traditional touch from my great grandparents was the moment where I moved to city for my high school. So I came from one village in Bali, and I did my elementary and primary schools in this village. And then after I reached high school, there is the idea that I want to pursue better education, modern education. So I decided to move to Denpasar, the capital city of Bali. And that was the moment I realized that I somehow disconnected to this sort of like, human nature's relationship. And my visit to Bumi Langit Institute was, remind me of those memories, of those nostalgic moment, kind of that. So it was interesting, and also I brought my kids were with me, and I am also happy to introduce them to this kind of like traditional lifestyle, because they are now the city children who never been into the nature, so who only spare less time with the nature. And I just want to share one last point, is that during the discussions with Mr. Iskandar, my reflection is that when we discuss about circular education, I think what I found in Indonesia, the practice of circularity, circular lifestyle, are very much as a form of informal knowledge, informal education. That was also one of our reflections. Mr. Iskandar also said that, this kind of like way of living are not very much taught in formal educations, and that make children more disconnected with this traditional culture. And I also agree with that. I found that there is sort of like division between formal education and informal educations, and it's kind of a privilege to have parents right now who still involve and transfer the informal education. Why I would say it's a privilege, because first, mostly parents now are busy working in this modern world, and they don't have plenty of time in transferring, their wisdom or their traditional knowledge to their children. Or even if they have time, mostly, even including me, we don't have a lot of resource anymore to tap into this traditional knowledge, because we still lack of reading materials, and we can only rely to our parents or grandparents or great-grandparents. And sometimes like for me, for example, I have no grandparents anymore, and when I ask to my mother, the knowledge are becoming more faded. So then it will take extra effort for me or for any parents to have this sort of like traditional wisdom. So that was interesting, and that was my take from this visit, that perhaps there are a lot of informal educations from this traditional practice or from this traditional culture who have more circularity elements. And I think I found that will be a very interesting takeaways or a very interesting agenda to how can we conduct more participatory research, not only to preserve this knowledge, but to also mainstreaming this kind of traditional culture, traditional knowledge as part of formal knowledge. I think that was one of my reflections from this visit. So thank you for listening to this, and see you again.